Welcome back to the Morning Kickoff Show. I'm Ross Matt Witt, and we are back to talk Minnesota Vikings football. Week 2 preview for the Minnesota Vikings, and this is going to be a good game. The Minnesota Vikings will travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles this Monday Night Football, 7:30 Central Time on ABC. You have two high-powered passing offenses, front, back, and center, going head-to-head on a primetime matchup, and the weather looks great. Not only is this game going to be happening on Monday Night Football, we're going to have the Tennessee Titans and Buffalo Bills go head-to-head. You have two great matchups happening this Monday, and it is going to be so fun to watch. Like I mentioned, these are two high-powered offenses. Not only are they two high-powered offenses, but you can argue these are the two best teams in the NFC right now. We'll say you can't. Most people will agree that both of these teams are top 5 in the NFC right now. I know it's only been 1 week, but based off of the week 1 performance and based off of what we've seen from these teams in the past, it looks like both of these teams are top 5 in the NFC. And this is a wide open NFC. It's not a lot of competition going on. A lot of big time headlines going on into this game. Obviously, the Vikings recently acquiring Jalen Reagor from the Philadelphia Eagles was huge. You have a new starting punt returner, someone who can be in transition. He's mentioned how he wants to get back at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles made it clear they did not want Jalen Reagor on their roster. Not only did they trade him, but they drafted Devontae Smith and they traded for A.J. Brown recently. So they were just kind of moving on from Jalen Reagor, sucking it up and saying that they didn't want him on the roster. You know who else they didn't want on the roster? Justin Jefferson. Another massive storyline in this game is Justin Jefferson going against the team that passed on him. The Minnesota Vikings were able to steal Justin Jefferson with the 22nd pick in the draft, and now he looks like arguably the best receiver in the league, with the pick going before him being Jalen Reagor, both on our roster. Not only this, but the Minnesota Vikings have a big rivalry with the Philadelphia Eagles. Looking at recent games of the past, they destroyed us in the NFC Championship game and went on to win the Super Bowl in our own stadium. They make fun of this a lot they make fun of us a lot for this. We make fun of them for passing on Justin Jefferson. Kind of this underlined rivalry going on. Not only is this going to be a rivalry that we're going to get to see on Monday Night Football, that the world's going to get to see on Monday Night Football, but these are this could end up being a preview to the NFC Championship game. And I'm just going to say that right now, because based off of what I've seen from week 1 in both of these teams, they look at least like competitors in the conference. They both look like they could make some noise in the playoffs. And I know you can come here and say, oh, they just beat the Detroit Lions by 3 points. They're not great. Yeah, they beat the Lions by 3 points, but the game was over far before that. The Philadelphia Eagles dominated them. The only thing the Eagles couldn't do was stop the run, as DeAndre Swift had over 9 yards per carry against their defense. Yeah, so like I mentioned, two high-powered passing offenses who are going to run the score up. Defenses have a lot to prove in this game, which is why this is going to be an absolute shootout. If you ask me, both of these teams should score at least 30 points in this game, and it's going to be so fun to watch. I don't care if you're a Vikings fan. I don't care if you're an Eagles fan. I don't care if you're an NFL fan. This game is going to be fun to watch because you are watching two high-powered young offenses going head-to-head. In this matchup, unfortunately, we do have some injuries to talk about here. Derek Barnett did tear his ACL and will be out the whole season. This is why the Eagles did steal Janarius Robinson off of our practice squad to have him in the rotation at defensive end for them. Unfortunate to see Janarius Robinson go, but like I mentioned, it's not a big loss. Looking at our pass rushing team, we look like one of the best pass rushing teams in the entire league. Losing Janarius Robinson sucks, but I mean, it's fine. Also, Landon Dickerson was limited during practice with an illness. He's expected to play. Andrew Booth Jr. unfortunately has not practiced this week, so it's looking like he will not play in this matchup. You hate to see it because Booth Jr. has one of the most there's no arguing against Booth Jr.'s talent. It's just the fact that we don't get to see him play. It feels like the Mike Hughes situation all over again, where people don't realize how talented the player is because he's never on the field. And this is what sucks to see. And I've mentioned Booth Jr. I feel like I love this pick. This was my favorite draft pick, but it's looking like it's unlikely that we're going to get to see him play often in this rookie season. You know who is going to have his debut, though? Lewis Cine. Lewis Cine is cleared to play, is fully healthy, and should make his NFL debut, our first-round draft pick, this Monday Night Football. I wouldn't expect that he does start this game. I would expect to see Cam Bynum out there and Cine maybe later transitioned into the role. We'll have to wait and see. Bynum has done a great job. What to expect in this game. You are looking at two, like I mentioned, you are looking at two young offenses who should run the score up. These are two young offenses who scored over 400 yards of offense last week. 400 yards over. And you're going to see these players, you're going to see these teams run that score up. Jalen Hurts is in the best situation he could ask for. Nick Sirianni has shown that Jalen Hurts can work. Whether you're a Jalen Hurts lover or hater, he works. He does work on that Philadelphia Eagles offense. He's behind arguably the best offensive line, a playmaker or a play caller who makes him work, and he's throwing to A.J. Brown, who is in a lot of people top 5 receivers right now. Then you go to the other sideline. Then you go to the Minnesota Vikings. And this even looks better. You have arguably the best receiver in the league, a top 3 running back in the league, an improved offensive line who's protecting for a quarterback when the situation is right. Looks amazing. But I would expect that this Vikings offense is not the same offense we saw last week. Last week in the first half of the Green Bay game, Justin Jefferson was our offense. He was completely our offense. And I'm not saying he's not going to get targeted. Like I mentioned, target Justin Jefferson at least 10 times a game, and you usually win the game. Look at his stats when he's been targeted 10 times, and look at the Vikings win-loss ratio when they put the ball into Kirk Cousins' hands to drop dimes to Jefferson every single week. But looking at the Vikings, I would expect to see a different identity this week. We're not going to probably give Justin Jefferson 180 something or 150 something receiving yards in the first half. Looking at the Eagles defense, this is a Eagles secondary that is tough. Darius Slay and James Bradbury make up one of the best corner duos in the league. Their safeties are great as well. But their Eagles defense was exposed last week. They were exposed by DeAndre Swift, who on just 15 carries had 144 yards. That averages to 9.6 yards per carry. If you ask me, there's no question Dalvin Cook is going to have a bigger workload on this Vikings offense this week than he did last week. Looking at last week, Dalvin Cook was mostly utilized into the third and fourth quarter when the Vikings pretty much had the game and they were running the clock down. Looking at this entire game, though, outdoor game against a Philadelphia Eagles defense on an away game who was terrible against the run. Looking just based off of the stats from the first week, they don't look that great. And look, when I'm talking about their defense does not look all that great against the run, and now they're going against Dalvin Cook, who is arguably a top 3 running back in the league. And then you look at the other sideline. The Minnesota Vikings will likely not hold their team to 7 points this week. Okay, last week was a blessing. The Minnesota Vikings defense last week was nearly perfect. This Vikings defense last week was outstanding. Why was that? Well, you're going against a Green Bay Packers offense who is without David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, and Allen Lazard. These are 3 core players on their offense, and now you have Aaron Rodgers throwing to a bunch of rookies. Aaron Rodgers throwing to a bunch of young guys and Randall Cobb. So this week is going to be the first real test for this Vikings defense. I mentioned it after the review last week. I mentioned how we're valuing this Vikings defense a little bit high after the first game. I mean, I have no doubts that this pass rushing duo is going to be outstanding. Zadarius Smith and Daniel Hunter has shown that they are outstanding in the league. Looking at this defensive front, Harrison Phillips, Dalvin Tomlinson, and whoever the heck they're going to play outside of that. I mean, Jonathan Bullard, if he actually plays, it doesn't matter. Our defensive front, great. Our edge rushers, great. I'm concerned about the secondary. And now you have a matchup where you're going against Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, who are outstanding receivers. And not only that, but getting into the face of Jalen Hurts is not going to be the same as getting into the face of Aaron Rodgers. When you rushed Aaron Rodgers last week, he aired the ball out. This is where Harrison Smith got his interception. This is where we saw a lot of incomplete passes. Now you're going against a quarterback who is going to who extends a lot of plays. Not to say Aaron Rodgers can't, but you're looking at a quarterback who is basically, he plays like Michael Vick. I have no doubts about this Vikings offense. This Vikings offense looks unstoppable. This is a Super Bowl offense like I've seen. This is going to be a test for our Vikings defense. Really excited to see what happens. And for my bold prediction of the week, I think Dalvin Cook will have the most all-purpose yards in this game. This is mostly, I might be overreacting from the first week where DeAndre Swift absolutely tore up that Eagles secondary, that Eagles defense, I mean to say. Dalvin Cook should do the same. I mean, I know Dalvin Cook is getting old, but have you seen any sign of him being Todd Gurley yet, where he falls off in 1 year? Have you seen any sign of him ending up being Le'Veon Bell, where he hits the age 26, age 27, 28, and completely falls off? I haven't yet. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Whether that happens or not, our running defense, our running offense is outstanding. Final prediction for the game. You know I have to have the Vikings win this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think both of these offenses should be in the 30s in this game, and I have the Vikings winning 34-31 to start out the season 2-0 against two rivals to start out what should be a great 2022 season. Let me know what y'all think.